Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline Studio. I'm Sybille Muschik. Behind the camera is Joshua Blanc. Today we're continuing on with our foam series. I have a couple of more different foams for you. Originally we had the Innov Art Presto foam, that's this stuff. And while I was looking for that, I sent for a couple of more, not realizing that they did have that at Amazon. And this is, they're both pretty well the same. This is, of course, it's made in China. It's Time for Crafts. And this is about a 12 by 9 sheet. And this one is much bigger. They're both pretty reasonable. I won't say prices because prices change all the time. This is Time for, or Craft Foam, sorry, and this is a nice big sheet if you want to work bigger. And great for cutting, stenciling, just general printmaking things. And I will show you that some of the stuff is quite surprising as to how you can impress images on here. So I always thought it was the Innov Art that was going to be the better choice, but you will see when we run our little experiments that maybe that's not entirely the case. So taking you back a little bit when we were transferring images. So I want to show you the formal way, but that's very time consuming to see all the tracing and all that. So we'll do a quick one and just show you the process. And, you know, I'm not the only one that does this. A lot of printmaking studios show this process, and arts classes for kids. You know, it's a fairly straightforward process, but we'll show it anyway. Okay, so you do your little drawing, and we'll just do maybe a bunch of circles. And funkier the better, of course. Maybe some line work. Some wigglies. Okay, so then you take tracing paper and you trace it off. Probably won't even do all of these, but you get the idea. This works for really complex subjects. Then on the back of the tracing paper, take some graphite. This is my 9B graphite stick, so it's lots of graphite. Make sure you use a really good quality tracing paper, because if you're redrawing it with pen, then you want it to not go through the paper right away. So basically, you're impressing the image again, just retracing it. Your pen or pencil, whatever you're using, will make a slight impression, and the graphite will help to get a clear image. And of course you can check on your progress. You can tape it down, which is probably a good idea. And of course, if you're doing really fine work, you'll be very careful about how you trace that. So let's put a bit of tape on it. And maybe tape your plate too. And we'll see. So some of the graphite came off, but not much, but there is a good impression on your Presto foam plate. And the same would be true of this as well. And now I can redraw. This is how it's done. So I can redraw, impressing it even deeper. And of course at this point, if you want to change anything in the design, you certainly can. You always have that artistic license, you know. And you, of course, will take much more time. I'm just rushing through this because it's just an example. Now, like I said, if you wanted to add a little bit more, I think I didn't trace those off, but they were there. And maybe more inner circles, maybe some nicer waves or something. Oh, one middle missing. Squigglies. And of course you can add words if you want. We'll be doing that further on into the video. Now with Innov Art, I found that you really have to make sure that this is being degreased. So I would take this to the sink and degrease it, and then you can start with the paint. So we'll do that. We'll take a quick interlude and we'll get this degreased just by, you know, washing it in the sink. Okay. Okay, getting ready for work on the plate. Just making sure my plate's secure. And then double check to make sure that your plate is nice and dry. There's no moisture left in the grooves. Try and keep your fingers off the surface. Your hands are greasy, right? So, okay, so let's ink this up. I'm going to be using the Speedball paints. This is, it's water soluble. This is violet. So you just need a tiny bit of paint. Sort of roll it out in a small section. So that's nice and even. You can hear the sound when it's not quite ready. There's a large sort of, you know, snick. I don't know if large is the right terminology. Maybe Josh can louder. And then when it softens up and there's a tiny stick, then you know the ink is just right. So put your plate on a nice surface and ink it up. Just try and get it as even as possible. Now, my other plates I've mounted on board because it's much easier to work with. But this is just our little practice run. Now we can print it directly, of course, but we're going to transfer it to the gel plate. You can brayer the back You can push down really good. So let's print that. Just take a little tiny, this is cardstock paper I've cut up. And we'll just print that. There's a little bit of paint on the outside edges, so I'm just putting another sheet on top. And make sure everything is done. And I printed, this is what's nice about InnovaArt is the delicacy of the line work that you're going to get. And you'll see in a minute that, you know, the other foams are, you know, the lines are going to be a little broader. So this is one of the things that, you know, is really good with that. Clean up your plate. So I want to show you some of the things I've done here. I've just drawn in some lettering. And when you use the gel plate, of course, you can do lettering directly. You don't have to learn how to write things backwards, which is a big help. So I've done a bunch of different things here, all the same. And these are the other two foams. This is a meat tray. And of course, this is the Presto foam. We've already done this one with that other one I showed you, so we'll just put that aside, but we'll do these three quickly. And we just keep the violet, seems to be working really well. This is water-based. You must varnish or do something like a spray varnish to treat it if you're displaying it, say, on canvas, or under glass if you're, you know, like a regular print. I'm doing everything, even watercolors now, just, you know, coating it with a plasticized surface. And with prices the way they are nowadays, it's your matting and framing is going to cost more than you're going to get for your artwork. So you do what you can as an artist. All right. So let's try the little meat foam first. I think I mentioned in the last video that it was, I think, ground chicken or something, and this one was sausages. So.
Does make a difference?
It makes a huge difference, yeah. The only thing you should be worried about is, you know, germs and things, so be sure and sterilize it well. But you can see that, you know, you don't need to go to the expense of buying these foams. The meat trays, as long as you clean them really well, work perfectly well. Right. Again, press down really good. And it didn't, the corner there didn't ink up as well, but that's okay. If I were doing this as a major project, I would just clean that off, re-ink that, and make sure that it works. But we're just wanting to see the lettering. And sometimes, you know, leave stuff and run with it and see what surprises happen. You know, it's an opportunity. And actually the background ended up being quite interesting. So here you can see, and I was thinking what I could write last night when I was doing this to get ready for the show. You know, we've worked with all these animals throughout our videos. We had, oh, I forgot about the fox. Remember the fox? Where we had the fox on top of the woodpile, and we I can't remember what video that was exactly, but we'll find it and we'll post it at the end. Anyway, all these animals, so that's what I thought we'd do the writing on. So, and I took various tools. I did the small stylus with a smaller bulb. That's, I think, butterfly. Heron was done with the biggest ball, and then the pen was for the butterfly or the caterpillar and the owls. I've just added a little bit more ink to my little plate here for inking. And are we ready to hear that snick? We'll get Josh to turn the sound up on it. It's not quite ready. See that loud snick? It's too much ink. As it gets softer. Now this is Speedball and Aqua inks. Both of them are water-based. I don't have any Aqua inks. They're horribly expensive. We're on a budget. What can I say? Let's see if we can get a good impression. Get everything out of harm's way. And okay, that's looking good. We'll just find where there's most type here. Okay, so that printed pretty well the same as the other one. And of course the meat tray was, there's this one here, and we'll just compare. You can see the meat tray is really clear, but so is this. It's not bad at all. So they're both worth working with, and this foam is considerably less costly than the Innov Art, but if you are really serious and want to do some really fine line work, then the Presto foam is probably the way to go. So I have a little sheet of stuff I did last night, and it's pretty close to what happened here this morning. And here's the white foam. This is a 12 by 9 sheet. And the letter writing is pretty good. The brown foam, I think if you look at the lettering and not so much the background, because I just inked it differently, it's pretty close. Maybe the white is a little bit more precise. Here on the back, this is the Presto foam, and again, now, remember what I said about degreasing your plate and making sure it's in good shape. So, and I hadn't mounted that one, and it makes a difference. And here's the meat tray. It's upside down. But look at the meat tray does really well. So, you know, you can certainly work with that stuff. Okay, well, just wanted to, you know, show you the differences in these craft foams and how you can work with them. So it's a lot of fun. You can do an awful lot of other stuff with it as well, like cutting it and using it as stencils, mounting it on other things. You know, it's all up to your imagination. So thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you for the next episode. And we're going to be talking about water wheel, our local water wheel. And we'll be using the foam to explore some of that. So catch you again, and we'll see you another time. Bye for now.